In late 2002, a man put $800 in the stock market. With various trades, he ended up turning his $800 into millions of dollars in a short amount of time. After suspicions grew, he was subsequently interrogated and arrested for insider trading. But the story does not end there. He claimed that he acquired the information not from insider trading, but because he was a time traveler. And he claimed he could prove it. Hi, I'm Mindy. Welcome to the Missing Link channel. Each urban legend and unsolved mystery is just one missing link away from being solved. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a video and help us find that missing link. Now, before you think I'm nuts for covering this story, I just have to give you some backstory. Lately, I have covered some depressing, sad, and confusing cases over the past few months. I came across this story and thought it would definitely be interesting to look into, just to see if it is based in any fact or if it is just an urban legend. The cases I am working on for February include a possible alien abduction, the murder of John Benet Ramsey from a different perspective, and the disappearance of Maura Murray. So most of us have probably seen the movie Back to the Future 2, when old man Biff travels back to the past to 1955 and gives his younger self the sports almanac so he can bet on any sports game in the future, know the winner, and earn a ton of cash. That movie was made in 1989, years before this story took place. I am sure many of you, and me, would love for our future self to show up and give us the winning lottery numbers, or tell us the future winners of the World Series or Super Bowl, so we could make a small fortune. Let's look into this story and go back to the beginning, back to December 2002. A man named Andrew Carlson, who was 44 years old and had no previous experience in the United States stock market, took $800 and began investing. Over the next 2 weeks, he traded stocks 126 times in the very risky commercial markets and ended up turning the $800 into $350 million. Yes, you heard me right. 35 with 7 zeros. $350 million. That is definitely a small fortune. Okay, who am I kidding? That is a huge fortune. Other investors grew very suspicious as Andrew kept making trades, making no mistakes, and continuing to earn millions of dollars off his investments. In fact, no trade or investment Andrew made turned into a loss. Instead, each ended up gaining value and earning money, a lot of money. This was definitely not beginner's luck. The market at that time was described as volatile, and his earnings were described as impossible and very suspicious. The FBI and the SEC, or Securities and Exchange Commission, became involved. They believed that he must be involved in some illegal insider trading. On January 28, 2003, 1 month after he started investing, Andrew was taken to the police station to be interrogated. Andrew was described as calm during the 4-hour-long interrogation. The authorities couldn't figure out where he received the privileged information to be able to make these investments or trades correctly and to gain so much money. Andrew told one story, and he stuck with it during the entire interrogation, and he did not waver in his claim. He told authorities that the reason he was able to make the right trades and investments was because he was from the future. He claimed to be a time traveler from 2256, which was 254 years in the future at that time. Andrew claimed he knew which stocks would rise during this time period, and that is why all his investments made such monumental gains. He seemed to know that certain companies would merge, which would lead their stock to increase in value. And he also seemed to know about technological developments in certain other companies that would also lead to their stocks increasing. This would be too much of a coincidence for him to just make random trades, not having some other insider or futuristic knowledge. He told the authorities that originally he planned to make it look more natural or real, spread it out over a greater period of time, make sure he had losses instead of only gains. But he got caught up in the moment and instead made such great profit in only 2 weeks with no losses at all. He explained that he traveled in time in what he described as a time craft. He wanted to get back to his time craft and go back to 2256. However, he would never explain what the craft looked like, how it worked, or where it was located currently. He was afraid that the time craft would end up in the wrong hands, or if someone found out how it worked, that they would try to duplicate the craft. The authorities believed he was either mentally disturbed or he was a pathological liar. The following month, on February 25th, 2003, Andrew was arrested for insider trading. Before his trial, Andrew tried to cut a deal with the authorities. He claimed he had information they would benefit from, information they couldn't turn down. He made numerous predictions why he was in jail that ended up coming true. He told authorities that he knew about future medical advances, such as how to cure AIDS. In 2003, AIDS was a huge global epidemic. In 2003 alone, 5 million people were infected and 3 million died from this awful disease. To this day, there is still no cure for AIDS. However, there is treatment that stops a person with HIV from developing full-blown AIDS by stopping the progression of the virus. Andrew also made other predictions, including stating that the stock market would crash in 2008. And that is exactly what happened. On September 29th, 2008, the Dow Jones experienced the largest single-day loss in its history up to that point. Andrew also told authorities that the U.S. would invade Iraq, and he knew the exact day, which was March 19th of that same year. He also told them the outcome of the war. He also explained that he knew the exact whereabouts of Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden was the mastermind behind the attacks on September 11th. His whereabouts were unknown at that time. Bin Laden wasn't killed until 8 years later, in 2011. Andrew was jailed for 2 months awaiting trial. Someone, described as an unidentified benefactor, bailed him out of jail. This person produced $1 million, and Andrew was released awaiting trial. Andrew was supposed to meet with his attorney on April 2nd, 2003. He didn't show up to the meeting. In fact, he disappeared, never to be seen again. He just seemed to vanish off the face of the earth. During 2003, tabloids were an extremely popular form of news. They weren't based on any fact, but they were more for entertainment. They had a lot of articles on celebrities, aliens, paranormal stories, and supernatural experiences. The newspaper, or tabloid, called Weekly World News, placed an article on their front page stating Andrew's story. This tabloid existed from 1979 to 2007. The writer of the article claimed that he had spoken to Andrew, that Andrew was in Canada working on a new project. Andrew was quoted as saying, "Time is everything, and everything happens as per the time. I am nowhere, so this is my time." I have no response to that quote. I am not even going to try to figure out what that means. Once this story was published in the tabloid, other news outlets, including Yahoo, published the story, but forgot to mention that it came from a tabloid. The story just keeps getting stranger. Apparently, there were no records of anyone named Andrew Carlson who fit his description ever existing before December 2002. No birth certificate, no driver's license, or anything else. So, let's look into the story. Let's pretend for a second that it is based on fact. I have a few issues I want to discuss. First, so if this man didn't exist, who was he? Perhaps he used a fake identity, but how did the FBI not figure this out while he was in jail for 2 months? Second, who was the very wealthy benefactor that put up $1 million bail money? Obviously, this person was very wealthy if they didn't mind losing $1 million, because the plan was definitely to escape and not return, so he or she would never get their money back. Third, why did he choose the stock market? Wouldn't it have been easier to just pick the winning lottery numbers for a huge jackpot? There would be so much less suspicion and less likelihood of getting caught by choosing a different way to make fast money, if he truly was a time traveler. Fourth, in today's time, you have to give your social security number to invest in the stock market. This is part of the Patriot Act to keep track of who is investing, and of course, to make sure that any losses or any gains are reported to the IRS and the correct taxes are paid. Fifth, 254 years in the future, do they still have a written or virtual description of what stocks did on a daily basis in 2002? How would he know what stocks to buy if he came from the year 2256? Sixth, how did Andrew acquire so much knowledge about so many companies' inside information? How did he know companies would merge and that technology would advance and help certain companies and then their stocks would rise? Seventh, if he was a time traveler, I am surprised by his appearance. Coming from over 250 years in the future, he looked older than 44 years old in his photo, and he had hair loss. His hairline was definitely receding. I sure hope with all the technological advances in the next 254 years, they would figure out how to have a more youthful appearance and figure out how individuals will no longer lose their hair. I'm going to be honest. I don't know much about time travel. However, two of the greatest physicists, Einstein and Hawking, believe that time travel is possible. Einstein's theory of relativity brought about the idea of time travel. The theory explains that time passes at different rates for different people, and the people are moving relative to one another. Some people even believe black holes in space can be used for time travel. So, do you think this story actually happened? Or was it just made up? A made-up story to sell a tabloid newspaper? And then it just became an urban legend after it was published by some reputable news sources? Or do you think it is based on some fact? Was Andrew a time traveler? Just a super smart individual with insider information who was able to manipulate the stock market and then later escape? Was he suffering from a mental illness? Or was he just a pathological liar? Did Andrew leave jail that day, return to his timecraft, and venture back to the year 2256? Or perhaps Andrew Carlson never existed at all, not in 2002, 2003, or 2256. Thank you for joining me here today. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button so I know you will enjoy hearing about mysterious urban legends. Also, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you'll be notified of my future videos. And follow me on social media as well to see what I am working on next. As always, have a wonderful day. Watch out for each other and keep looking for that missing link. Love ya and see you in my next video.